Part 1. The birthday cake. Had the wrong name again. I woke up with the taste of birthday cake in my mouth. Not sweet cake, ash. In my first life. My 22nd birthday ended with my family singing to Sabrina Ashford, the fake heiress they kept in my place. While I bled behind the banquet hall, in 6 hours, Sabrina would walk into my birthday banquet wearing my dress, cut a cake with her name on it, and help my family take the trust that belonged to me. This time, I opened my eyes before the candles, and I smiled. My phone vibrated on the nightstand. The screen showed the first message of the day. Happy birthday, Lena. Please be graceful tonight. It was from my mother, Vivian Ashford, the woman who raised Sabrina as her miracle and treated me like the correction she could not bear to read aloud. In my first life, that sentence had made me cry. I was foolish enough to think graceful meant dignified. By midnight, I understood what she meant. Be quiet when they place your name card near the musicians. Smile when Sabrina wears the sapphire gown ordered in your measurements. Clap when your father calls her the daughter who saved the family from scandal. Sign the paper when your older brother, Derek Ashford, says the trust needs one clean air. Be graceful meant disappear without staining the carpet. I sat up slowly. My hands were steady. That was the first difference. In my first life, my hands shook all day from nerves, hope, and hunger for a family that had already voted me out. I had returned to the Ashford house at 19 after a hospital record correction revealed the baby switch. For 3 years, I tried to earn a place that should never have required an audition. I learned their dinner rules, their charities, their donor names, the order of portraits in the West Gallery. I memorized which aunt hated which cousin. I stopped wearing bright colors because my mother said Sabrina looked softer beside me when I did. And still, when the choice came, they chose the girl who was not theirs by blood, but was theirs by comfort. Sabrina Ashford was the fake heiress, the perfect daughter, and the girl who cried without ruining her makeup while calling me real sister whenever cameras were near. She had lived in my nursery, worn my christening bracelet, learned piano in the East Room, taken family portraits beneath the Ashford crest. When the truth came out, my parents did not send her away. I had not wanted them to. I was not cruel then. I thought there could be room for both of us. My bedroom door opened without a knock. There she was, 22 years old, honey hair brushed into loose waves, silk robe belted at her waist, face arranged into tender concern. Sabrina carried a garment bag over one arm and a small white pastry box in the other. She looked like a birthday fairy in a family that hired other people to carry heavy things. Lena, she said softly, you're awake. It is my birthday, I said. I thought I should attend. Her smile slipped for half a second. In my first life. I had answered. Barely. I had been too nervous to sleep. She had sat on my bed, held my hands, and told me tonight would heal everything. Then she borrowed my perfume, my earrings, and finally my future. This time, I folded the blanket down and watched her enter. I brought breakfast, she said, placing the pastry box on my vanity. Almond cake from Briar & Bell. I know you like it. Thank you, I said. She relaxed. Thieves love politeness. It lets them pretend the door was open. Sabrina unzipped the garment bag. Inside hung a sapphire gown, deep blue silk, hand-beaded bodice, narrow waist, exact length for my height. In my first life. I found the gown missing from my wardrobe at noon and discovered Sabrina wearing it at 7. My mother told me not to be petty. My father said the color suited Sabrina's complexion. Derek, my older brother and Ashford Holdings' chief strategy officer, laughed and said real blood did not need fabric to prove itself. Tonight, the photos of Sabrina in that gown would sit at the center of the Banquet slideshow. Mine would be cropped from the edges. Your dress arrived in my room by mistake. Sabrina said, the staff is so overwhelmed. I thought I should bring it back. I looked at the gown. Do you want to wear it? Her fingers tightened on the hanger. What? It suits you, I said, and everyone expects you to stand near Father tonight. It would photograph well. Sabrina stared at me as if I had placed a knife on the bed and invited her to choose the handle. Lena, no, this is your banquet too. Such a small word, a whole theft hidden inside 2 letters. It is easier if you wear it, I said. Mother will be calmer. Sabrina studied me, searching for the anger she had rehearsed against. When she did not find it, she tried softness instead. Are you sure? Very sure, I said. Which staff member sent it to your room? Her lashes paused. I only want to thank them for correcting the mistake, I added. I do not remember, she said. Of course she did not. People remember accidents. They become vague around plans. She lowered her lashes. I do not want you to feel pushed aside. This time, I smiled. I would rather be comfortable. I said, take it. Sabrina's gratitude bloomed too quickly. If you are sure. Very sure. She lifted the gown from the bag. For one careless second, hunger showed in her face. Not joy. Possession. She had always wanted proof that my place could be handed to her with my own permission. She did not understand that permission can be a trap when the witness list is long enough. There is one more thing, she said. The banquet coordinator asked about the screen file for tonight. Derek put together a family tribute, some childhood clips, some charity photos, the story of our unusual journey. She smiled sadly. He said you might feel sensitive about it. Sensitive. That was their word for truth when it bruised them. What story is he telling? I asked. Sabrina sat on the edge of my bed, still holding the gown. That blood does not have to break love. That family is choice. That you and I are both Ashford daughters. Both? Of course. Her voice softened. But Lena, you know tonight is important for Father. The investors will be here. The trust review is next week. People need to see stability. In my first life, stability meant Sabrina at the center and me at the margin. Stability meant asking me to say, on camera, that I did not want control of the Ashford founders' trust. Stability meant rewriting identity fraud as family healing. My phone buzzed again, this time from Derek. Do not make Sabrina cry today. I almost laughed. There it was, the family alarm system. Not do not hurt Lena on her birthday, not happy birthday, just a warning to keep the favorite daughter dry-eyed. Tell Derek he can use the screen file he prepared, I said. Sabrina blinked. Really? Really. And if anyone asks later, tell them I did not request changes. Her smile thinned. Why would anyone ask? Because official stories work better when the details match. Who approved the file? Derek? Father? The event company? Derek handled it, she said after a beat. There it was. A name. A thread. I did not pull it yet. Really? That was the second trap. In my first life. I fought the tribute because I knew it would humiliate me. Derek called that paranoia. My father called it emotional instability. The guests watched me object before they ever saw the video. So when the video painted me as bitter and unstable, I had already helped it. Sabrina stood, "You are being so mature." I died once. I almost said, "It helped." Instead, I said, "It is a big night." She carried the sapphire gown to the door. Before leaving, she turned back with a careful expression. "Lena, whatever happens tonight, please remember I never wanted to replace you. In my first life." That sentence had sounded like kindness. Now I heard the rehearsal. Whatever happens, not happy birthday, not you belong here. Whatever happens, because she already knew what they planned to do. "I know," I said. Sabrina smiled, relieved. After she left, I opened the pastry box. On the almond cake, written in pink icing, was one word: Sabrina. I stared at it for a long moment. Then I took a photo. Not because the cake mattered, because patterns matter. Wrong dress, wrong screen file, wrong name, wrong daughter. The morning had barely begun, and my family had already given me 3 pieces of evidence before breakfast. In the bottom drawer of my vanity, beneath a stack of unused birthday cards, I kept the envelope that had arrived 2 days before my first death and 1 week before this rebirth. In my first life. I had been too afraid to open it until after the banquet, when it no longer saved me. This time, I opened it before the sun reached the west lawn. Inside were copies of the DNA report, the hospital bracelet record, the corrected birth register, and a letter from Mara Ellison, the independent trust officer my grandfather had appointed before he died. "Miss Lena Ashford," the letter began, "if your family attempts to pressure you into signing any waiver before your 22nd birthday banquet, do not refuse in private. Let them proceed. The Founders Trust activates the fraud clause only when coercion occurs before witnesses or documented devices. The screen system at Ashford Hall is already linked to the verification file. Do not confront them before the cake." This time, I folded the letter and placed it in my clutch. Then I ate 1 bite of Sabrina's almond cake. It tasted exactly as I remembered. Too sweet, too expensive, and not mine. Part 2. I let her wear the dress made for me. By 11 that morning, Ashford Hall had turned into a machine. Florists moved through the foyer with white roses. Caterers carried silver trays through the service corridor. The west lawn was covered by a glass pavilion glowing under early summer light. 200 chairs faced a low stage, and above the stage hung the giant banquet screen Derek had chosen for the family tribute. In my first life, I hated that screen. It made humiliation large enough for everyone to share. This time, I looked at it and felt almost fond. Screens are honest in one way. They do exactly what the final file tells them to do. My mother found me in the portrait gallery at noon. Vivian Ashford wore champagne silk and pearls that had once belonged to my grandmother. She carried herself like apology was something servants brought on a tray. Her eyes moved over my plain black dress, my low shoes, my bare neck. "Lena," she said, "is that what you are wearing?" "Yes." "It is very severe for a birthday banquet." "I am in a severe mood." Her mouth tightened. In my first life, that tone would have started a fight. I would have explained the stolen gown, the cake, the strange seating chart. She would have told me not to ruin the day. I would have said it was my day. She would have looked exhausted, as if my existence required too much translation. Today I let the silence do the explaining. Mother lowered her voice. Sabrina told me you allowed her to wear the sapphire gown. I did. That was generous. Was it? She looked away first. Good. Vivian had always loved kindness when it benefited the right person. When I gave Sabrina the gown, it became generosity. When Sabrina took it, it became destiny. Your father wants a calm evening, she said. The board members are attending. The Whitaker Foundation is sending representatives. The press will be outside after the cake cutting, so I should be graceful. Relief crossed her face. She did not hear the blade in it. Exactly. This family has survived a difficult chapter. Tonight can close it. Which chapter? Mother touched the pearl at her throat. The confusion. I turned toward the portraits. The Ashford ancestors stared down with painted certainty. Men in dark suits. Women in pearls. Children posed beside dogs and pianos and inheritance. I wondered how many of them had been kind. I wondered how many had simply been documented. My birth was not confusion, I said. The hospital switched 2 infants. Lena, that is the legal term. Her face cooled. Legal terms are not always family terms. There it was, the Ashford gospel. Law mattered when it protected them. Blood mattered when it served them. Love mattered when Sabrina needed something. When I needed anything, they called it tone. Before Mother could continue, my father Grant Ashford entered the gallery with Derek behind him. Grant had a businessman face handsome enough for sympathy, lined enough for authority, empty enough to hide calculation. Derek looked like him, only younger and more carelessly cruel. He was 30 already, chief strategy officer of Ashford Holdings, and still somehow managed to behave like a boy denied dessert whenever I entered a room. There you are, Father said. We need 10 minutes in the library. For my birthday wishes, I asked. Derek snorted. Mother gave him a warning glance, not because he was rude, but because guests might be close enough to hear. Father's jaw moved. For paperwork, of course. In my first life, the paperwork arrived after the first toast, when I was already dizzy with humiliation. They surrounded me in the library. Father, Mother, Derek, Sabrina crying by the window. They said the trust review would become ugly unless I clarified my intentions. They said Sabrina's mental health could not survive another public debate. They said I would still be loved, still provided for, still part of the family. All I had to do was sign a temporary renunciation of control rights until emotions cooled. Temporary lasted until I died. This time I followed them without resistance. The library smelled of leather paper and the expensive lemon oil Mrs. Rowe, the housekeeper, used on the old shelves. A folder waited on Father's desk. Cream paper, Ashford crest, blue tabs. Beside it lay a black fountain pen and a small silver voice recorder Derek forgot to hide beneath his phone. I noticed it because in my first life that recording had been edited into proof that I voluntarily gave up control. I sat down before they told me to. Father opened the folder. This is not dramatic. It is a protective measure. For whom? For the family. That was not my question. Which person is protected by my signature? Which right changes after I sign? Which clause says this has to happen before the cake? The recorder sat between us, silver and patient. Father's eyelid twitched. That was not my question, I said again. Derek leaned against the bookshelf. Do you have to make every sentence a courtroom? I looked at the recorder. Are we in one? His eyes flicked down. A tiny mistake. Recorded. Mother sat beside me, her perfume too familiar. Gardenia and cold distance. Lena, you know we love you. In my first life, I had believed that sentence could still save me. Now it sounded like the first line of a contract no honest person would sign. Father pushed the paper toward me. The founder's trust is complicated. Your sudden legal recognition created governance uncertainty. Until the board can review the matter, we need you to acknowledge Sabrina as the family's social representative and waive immediate voting control. Immediate voting control, I repeated. Temporarily. How long is temporarily? Father looked at Derek instead of the document. That was the first honest answer in the room. Is there a date? I asked. A board review deadline. A written condition that returns control to me. Derek smiled. Until you stop acting like a threat, Mother whispered Derek. Father did not correct him. That told me enough. I picked up the document and read the heading out loud because private pressure becomes weaker when it has to hear its own name. Voluntary Family Harmony Declaration and Beneficiary Standing Adjustment. It was uglier than I remembered. In my first life, tears blurred the words. I saw only the family crest and my father's hand pointing to the signature line. Today I read every clause. Page 1 praised unity. Page 2 recognized Sabrina as ceremonial heiress for public events. Page 3 delayed my trust voting rights pending psychological evaluation. Page 4 allowed existing trustees to act without my consent. Page 5 converted my refusal to cooperate into constructive abandonment of beneficiary duties. Then came the signature page. My name was typed as Helena June Ashford, not Lena. Helena. The legal name on the corrected birth certificate. A name my mother never used because it reminded her I had existed before Sabrina became convenient. Why now, I asked. Father's patience thinned. Because tonight matters. And if I do not sign, Derek pushed away from the shelf. Then tonight, we tell everyone the truth about how unstable you have been since the DNA mess. We tell them you threatened Sabrina. We show the clips. Mother closed her eyes. Derek, please. I turned to him. What clips? He smiled. You screaming in the blue room last month. You throwing a glass in the kitchen. You accusing Sabrina of stealing your life. In my first life, those clips had played during the Banquet tribute. They showed me crying, yelling broken. They did not show what happened before. Sabrina locking my grandmother's letters in her drawer. Derek telling me no one wanted me at board dinners. Mother saying maybe the hospital had made 2 mistakes. The clips began where my pain became inconvenient and ended before anyone else's cruelty entered the frame. This time I had already sent Mara Ellison the full security camera archive from the blue room, the kitchen, and the west hallway, including the parts Derek deleted from the family server. Show them, I said. Derek blinked. What? If the clips help show them. Father studied me. He was finally starting to notice that I was too calm. Men like him did not fear anger. Anger can be named drug dismissed. Calm asks for receipts. Lena, he said slowly, do not mistake patience for weakness. You live in this house because we chose compassion. I was born into this house because someone switched my hospital bracelet. And Sabrina was raised here because we loved her. I never asked you to stop. That was the truth they hated most. I had never demanded Sabrina's exile. I had demanded only that my own name be returned. They could have kept both daughters. They chose one daughter and one apology they never intended to make. Mother touched my arm. Sign the declaration. Give everyone time. After tonight, we can revisit. After tonight, the cake will be cut, Derek said. The photos will be taken. The public will know who represents us. That is the point. There. A clean confession wrapped in arrogance. I picked up the pen. Mother exhaled. Father leaned back. Derek's smile returned. In my first life, I signed with shaking hands and wrote my future away. Today, I turned to the last page, uncapped the fountain pen, and signed exactly where they wanted. Then beneath my signature in small, clear letters, I wrote, signed after direct threat of public defamation. Consent denied. Full document disputed. Father did not see it. He was already reaching for the folder. Derek was looking at his phone. Mother was watching my face for tears. I let Father take the document. Thank you, he said with the warmth of a man closing a vault. You're welcome. Now, Mother said quickly, desperate to return to softness. Sabrina asked if you would stand with her when the cake comes out. It would mean a lot. To Sabrina. To everyone. Of course, I said. I will stand beside her before the cake. That was true. I planned to stand close enough to watch the screen reflected in her eyes. When I left the library, I paused in the hallway outside the old music room and took out my phone. One message waited from Mara Ellison. Library audio received through house recorder. Screen file verification complete. Do not confront. Let them proceed. I looked back toward the library door. Behind it, my family was probably congratulating themselves on how painless it had been. They thought I had signed away power. They did not know the founder's trust cared less about ink than pressure. They did not know the security camera above the library fireplace had been installed by my grandfather, not my father. And they did not know that the birthday banquet screen had 2 files loaded under the same name. Derek had uploaded family_tribute_final.mp4. Mara had uploaded family_tribute_final.mp4 verified. One would play when Derek tested the screen. The other would play when the cake sensor triggered the banquet sequence. My family had spent all morning arranging my disappearance. I had spent one lifetime learning where they hid the switches. Part 3. My family rehearsed my replacement. At 3 p.m, the rehearsal began. Not the official rehearsal. The guests would not see that. This was the private version. The one families perform before they decide which lie sounds most natural. We gathered beneath the glass pavilion on the west lawn. Father at the stage center. Mother near the floral arch. Derek beside the screen technician. Sabrina in my sapphire gown. And me in black at the edge of the aisle. "You look beautiful," Mother whispered. Sabrina touched the diamonds. "Are you sure Lena will not mind?" She said it while looking at me. "Lena offered the dress," Mother said. "Let us not make this uncomfortable." Let us not make theft uncomfortable. Another Ashford family value. Derek clapped his hands. Positions. We have one shot tonight. Press outside at 8:30. Board members by 7. Trust people by 6:45. We need clean optics before the cake. Clean optics, I said. How romantic. He ignored me. The screen technician, a nervous man with a headset, stood beside a laptop connected to the banquet screen. His badge read, PAX Event Media. In my first life. I never looked at his face. I was too busy trying not to cry. Today, I noticed the tiny panic in his eyes when Derek leaned over him. Run the tribute from the beginning, Derek ordered. The technician clicked. The giant screen lit up with music and a soft gold title card. The Ashford Sisters, a story of love, blood and choice. Maybe use a better photo of Lena, Mother said weakly. Derek shrugged. There are not many. The tribute continued. A clip of Sabrina saying, Family is not biology. Family is who stays. A clip of Father saying, We are proud of both our daughters. Then a clip of me crying in the blue room. Voice breaking. You stole everything from me. The video cut before Sabrina's answer. In the full security recording, Sabrina had said, then steal it back if you can. The tribute moved to another clip. Me in the kitchen, throwing a glass. Not shown. Derek trapping my wrist in the cabinet door 2 seconds before. Not shown. Mother saying, You make it so hard to choose you. The edited version made me look wild. The complete version made them look exactly like themselves. Sabrina pressed her lips together. Maybe this is too harsh. I almost admired her. She understood audience better than Derek. Cruelty must look reluctant to survive in public. Derek waved her off. It explains the signing. People need context. Father turned sharply. Derek! Too late. The screen technician heard. So did I. So did the tiny camera hidden in the black floral riser behind the stage. Installed that morning by PAX Event Media under Mara Ellison's instructions. In my first life. There had been no independent recording. The Ashfords controlled every angle. This time, every rehearsal sentence belonged to the trust record. What signing? I asked. Derek smiled without looking at me. Your peace declaration. Is that what we are calling it? We can call it whatever makes you less dramatic. Sabrina stepped between us, holding the skirt of the sapphire gown. Please, not today. Not on my birthday. She did not say that part. She never did. Father adjusted his cuffs. Tonight, after my welcome speech, Sabrina will speak first. She will thank the guests for supporting the family through transition. Lena, you will then join her and say a few words about unity. What words? Mother handed me a card. I read it silently. I am grateful to my family for receiving me with patience. Sabrina has carried the Ashford name with grace for 22 years, and I respect her place in our home. Tonight, I choose peace over conflict and family over control. There it was, a public surrender, dressed as maturity. I looked up. Who wrote this? Derek said. Someone with public relations training. It says I choose family over control. You do, Father said. Do I? His eyes hardened. If you want to remain in this family. Sabrina looked down, lashes trembling. In my first life. That would have worked. I would have seen her trembling and felt guilty for being injured. That was Sabrina's most dangerous talent. She could turn another person's wound into her burden. This time, I folded the card and placed it in my clutch. I can read it, I said. Mother closed her eyes in relief. Derek looked disappointed. He had wanted resistance. Resistance made better video. The rehearsal moved to the cake sequence. A long table would roll from the side entrance. The cake would be 5 tiers: white sugar roses, blue ribbon, gold crest. A small light sensor under the cake stand would signal the screen to switch from the tribute to the birthday montage. Then the press photographer would capture Sabrina and me holding the knife together. In my first life, that cake had Sabrina's name on the top tier. The staff claimed it was a bakery error. Father said not to make a scene. Guests laughed awkwardly when Sabrina tried to scrape off her name and pretend it did not matter. Then Derek whispered that if I behaved, they would order me another cake for the family breakfast. There was no family breakfast. By morning, I was dead. The cake text is final? I asked. Sabrina froze. Derek's mouth curved. Why? Worried about frosting? Curious. Which bakery approved the final proof? Why does that matter? Because cake mistakes become expensive when 200 guests photograph them. Mother said. It says happy birthday to our daughters. The screen technician looked down at his laptop. Sabrina smoothed the gown. Derek checked his phone. Father adjusted his cuffs again. 4 liars, 4 different directions. Lovely, I said. The rehearsal ended at 4. Sabrina disappeared upstairs for hair and makeup. Mother followed. Father went to meet the board chair. Derek stayed by the screen, speaking sharply to the technician. I walked toward the pavilion exit slowly enough to hear, "No mistakes tonight," Derek said. When the cake rolls out, the second file plays, not the first, the one I gave you after lunch. The technician swallowed. Mr. Ashford, the system shows a trust verification lock on the cake trigger. Override it. I cannot without authorization. I am authorization. The account name is Ellison Trust Services. Derek went silent. I stopped behind a column. Then play mine manually, he said. When the cake reaches center stage, cut the feed and launch the USB file. I do not care what lock is on the system. That would show in the event log. Then edit the log. The technician's voice shook. Sir, I was told all event logs are archived live. Derek cursed under his breath. By whom? I stepped out from behind the column. Probably someone with public relations training. Derek turned. For 1 second, his face showed the truth. Not anger, not contempt, but fear. Then it vanished. Eavesdropping now? Standing at my birthday banquet. It is Sabrina's birthday too. No, I said calmly. It is not. He walked toward me, careful. The word landed between us. In my first life, careful had meant be afraid. This time, it meant he still believed the old script had power. Derek, I said, when I was dying behind this hall, did you wait until the last song ended before calling anyone? His face emptied. The technician went very still. Of course, Derek did not understand the question. In this life, he had not left me on the marble yet. But some guilt lives ahead of time. It hears its own future and recognizes the voice. You are insane, Derek whispered. That is also in the tribute, I assume. He grabbed my arm. Not hard enough to bruise immediately. Hard enough for the camera above the catering arch to record force. Hard enough for the trust fraud clause to collect one more gift. Listen to me, he said through his teeth. Tonight is not about you. It has never been about you. You were a hospital mistake with a legal advantage. Sabrina is my sister. Sabrina is mother's daughter. Sabrina is father's legacy. If you try to take that, I will make sure every person in that room sees what you really are. I looked at his hand on my arm. Thank you. He blinked. For being clear, I said, he released me as if my skin had burned him. My phone buzzed inside my clutch. A message from Mara. Stage audio received. Physical contact recorded. Continue. I looked at Derek's pale face and smiled. Enjoy the tribute, I said. Then I walked back into the house, leaving my brother beside the largest screen the Ashford family had ever rented. Part 4. The cake arrived with her name on it. I stood at the top of the west staircase and watched Sabrina receive guests beside my parents. She was radiant. That is not an insult. Sabrina knew how to be beautiful in public. She tilted her head toward older guests, laughed softly with board members, touched Mother's arm at the right moments, and accepted compliments on the sapphire gown with practiced modesty. The diamond clasp flashed at her throat. My diamond clasp. If inheritance meant anything, her diamond clasp. If history was whatever my mother could bear to remember. Mrs. Whitaker from the foundation kissed Sabrina on both cheeks. Darling, you look exactly like Vivian at your age. Sabrina lowered her eyes. That is the nicest thing you could say. Mrs. Whitaker turned to me. And you must be Helena? Lena, I said. Of course. Such an unusual situation. She patted my hand as if I were an interesting rescue animal. You are very brave to join tonight. I was born for it. She blinked. Sabrina laughed lightly to smooth the moment. Lena has a sharp sense of humor. I sharpened it here, I said. Mother's eyes snapped toward me. Sabrina's smile stayed in place, but her fingers tightened around her clutch. At 7, we moved to the pavilion. The sky outside the glass roof had turned violet. Candles glowed along the tables. The stage lights warmed the floral arch. On each place card, guests found their names written in navy ink beside a small silver crest. Mine was not at the family table. I found my card at table 12. Between a distant cousin who had once asked whether the hospital switch meant I could sue for childhood memories and a charity director who kept calling me dear, the family table, positioned beneath the stage, had 4 seats. Grant Ashford, Vivian Ashford, Derek Ashford, Sabrina Ashford. No Lena, no Helena, not even a mistake pretending to be accidental. In my first life, I marched to Mother with the card in my hand. She said the seating chart was finalized and told me not to embarrass her. I stood in the aisle, humiliated before dinner began. Guests watched. Derek smiled. Later, the tribute used a cropped clip of me arguing near table 12 as evidence that I had caused a scene over minor logistics. This time, I sat at table 12. The charity director leaned toward me. It must be emotional. Very educational, I said. At 7:45, Mara Ellison entered the pavilion. She did not announce herself. She did not need to. Mara was in her 50s, tall, with dark hair streaked silver and the kind of calm that makes guilty people check exits. She wore a simple black suit and carried a leather document case. 2 associates followed her, one with a tablet, one with a sealed blue folder. Father saw her from across the room. His expression changed so quickly that only someone watching for fear would have caught it. I was watching. Mara paused near table 12. Miss Ashford? Ms. Ellison. Happy birthday. No one else in my family had said it without a command attached. Thank you. Her eyes moved to the stage, then back to me. Everything is proceeding? Beautifully. Good. She walked to the reserved trust table near the side exit. Father excused himself immediately and followed. Mother watched, anxious. Derek, my brother and the architect of the tribute file, stood, but Sabrina touched his wrist, stopping him. Interesting. Sabrina knew less than Derek, but she read rooms faster. I could not hear Father and Mara over the string quartet, but I did not need to. His hands moved in small, controlled gestures. Hers did not. Men like my father always believed stillness was agreement, until it ruined them. At 8, Father took the stage. The room quieted. Servers disappeared along the edges. Cameras lifted. The screen behind him glowed with the first gold title card from Derek's tribute. My breath slowed. Somewhere beneath the cake table, a sensor waited. Friends, Father began, voice rich with practiced warmth. Tonight, we gather not only to celebrate a birthday, but to celebrate the strength of family. Applause. Sabrina lowered her head modestly. Mother dabbed at the corner of her eye. Derek watched me from the family table. The Ashford family has faced an unusual journey. Father continued. 3 years ago, we learned that the story of our daughters was more complicated than we knew. We discovered that blood, love, and law do not always arrive in the same order. But we also learned something greater. Father said, family is not a document. Family is not a lab result. Family is loyalty, grace, sacrifice, and the willingness to choose one another every day. Guests nodded. Rich people love speeches that make paperwork sound vulgar until their own lawyers arrive. Father turned toward Sabrina. No one has carried that grace more beautifully than Sabrina. The room applauded. Sabrina stood, glowing, sapphire silk catching the light. She went to the stage. Father kissed her forehead. It photographed perfectly. Then she spoke. "Thank you, Daddy," she said. Her voice trembled just enough. "And thank you, everyone, for loving our family through a time that could have broken us." Our family. Not my family. Not the family. Our... She owned the room so gently that people thanked her for taking it. "When I learned about the hospital switch," Sabrina continued, "I was terrified. I thought love could be replaced by a test result. I thought the life I knew could disappear because of one file in one laboratory. The irony was so thick I almost admired the architecture. But my parents taught me that love is not erased by truth. Derek taught me that siblings protect each other. And Lena..." She turned toward table 12. Every face followed. "Lena taught me that healing takes time. In my first life." This was where she cried. I rose from the wrong table and walked to the stage, already shamed by my distance. Tonight. I stood slowly. No tears, no rush. I walked to the stage while 200 people watched the real daughter approach, like a guest invited to comment on her own replacement. Sabrina held out her hand. I took it. Her palm was cold. "Thank you," I said into the microphone she offered. The card in my clutch contained Derek's little speech about peace over control. I took it out. Mother visibly relaxed. Father nodded once. Derek lifted his glass. I looked down at the card. Then I looked at the guests. "My family asked me to read a statement," I said. The guests leaned closer. Sabrina's fingers tightened around mine. "It says I am grateful to my family for receiving me with patience. It says Sabrina has carried the Ashford name with grace for 22 years. It says tonight, I choose peace over conflict and family over control." Father's smile froze. Derek put down his glass. Mother went pale. I folded the card once, neatly. "I agree with one part," I said. "Tonight, I choose peace over conflict." Sabrina whispered, "Lena..." "So I will not argue before dinner." Soft laughter moved uneasily through the room. Guests thought I was making a joke. My family knew I was loading a sentence. "Happy birthday, Sabrina," I said, turning to her. Her eyes widened. It was not her birthday. Everyone important knew that. The corrected birth register knew that. The DNA report knew that. The hospital bracelet in Mara's blue folder knew that. But the cake did not. From the service entrance, 4 staff members rolled in the 5-tier birthday cake. White sugar roses, blue ribbon, gold crest, beautiful enough to forgive its own crime. On the top tier, in perfect navy icing, were the words, "Happy birthday, Sabrina." The room inhaled. Mother's hand flew to her mouth. Father stared at the cake as if frosting had betrayed him personally. Derek looked toward the screen technician. Sabrina went so still that the diamond clasp at her throat stopped flashing. In my first life, I cried when I saw her name. This time, I smiled for the cameras. "What a lovely cake," I said. No one moved. Then the cake table reached center stage. Beneath it, the sensor clicked. Derek's tribute vanished from the screen. The gold title card flickered once. Then the banquet screen turned white. Black text appeared across it, clear enough for the last table to read. Ashford Founders Trust Verification File. Beneficiary Identity Review. Someone dropped a fork. Sabrina's hand slipped out of mine. The first image loaded. A DNA report. My name, Sabrina's name. Grant Ashford's name, Vivian Ashford's name, the conclusion highlighted in yellow. Probability of parentage for Helena June Ashford, 99.9998%. Probability of parentage for Sabrina Vale, 0.0000%. The room froze. A chair scraped halfway back and stopped. Phones lowered. The photographer's camera hung useless at his chest. At the cake table, the staff member holding the silver lighter forgot to breathe. From the trust table, Mara Ellison, my grandfather's independent trust officer, rose with the sealed blue folder in her hand. "For the record," Mara said, her voice carrying across the microphones, "the biological daughter of Grant and Vivian Ashford is Helena June Ashford." No one answered. That was the sound of power hearing itself fall. Part 5. The DNA result, played before the candles. The screen advanced. Second proof object, hospital birth register, St. Ormond Medical Center, June 14th, 10:04 p.m. Female infant, biological parents, Grant and Vivian Ashford, bracelet code, A-17-HJA. Beside it, a scanned image of a tiny plastic hospital bracelet. The ink faded but readable. Helena June Ashford. Third proof object, another birth record. 7 minutes later, female infant. Biological mother, Marla Vale. Bracelet code, V22SV, Sabrina Vale. A murmur moved through the pavilion. It started at the back tables and rolled forward like weather. Guests turned to Sabrina, then to me, then to my parents. The board chair leaned toward his wife and whispered something that made her face harden. Mrs. Whitaker put one hand over her pearls. Not in sympathy, but calculation. Father found his voice. Turn that off. No one moved. "Turn it off," he snapped. The technician lifted both hands from the laptop. "The file is locked, sir." Derek lunged toward him. Mara Ellison stood from the trust table. "Mr. Ashford, if you touch that system, I will add attempted evidence interference to the record." Her voice carried cleanly through the microphone system. Every head turned. Mara walked toward the stage with the sealed blue folder in her hand. Her associates moved to either side of the pavilion. Tablets out. Recording. Not secretly. Publicly. That mattered. Hidden proof saves you from lies. Public proof prevents people from pretending they did not see. The screen advanced again. Fourth proof object, an event planner email chain from Derek Ashford to PAX Event Media. Subject, final cake text and tribute sequence. The highlighted line read, "Use Sabrina's name on top tier. Do not include Helena on cake. Father approved. Mother does not want visible conflict." Below it was the bakery proof, time-stamped that morning, with Sabrina's private confirmation attached. Not a mistake, not overwhelmed staff, not confusion. A small sound escaped Mother, not horror, exposure. The email chain continued. Derek again. Play emotional clips before signing announcement. Need donors to understand why Lena cannot handle trust role. Then a payment receipt for a rush edit to the tribute file. Charged to Derek's private company card. The guests began to whisper louder. Sabrina stepped away from the cake as if distance could make the icing less legible. "This is a private family matter," Father said. But his voice had lost the room. "Then it should have stayed private," Mara said. Reaching the microphone, "You invited donors, board witnesses, media contractors, and a screen technician. You scheduled a beneficiary declaration before cake service. You connected a trust document to public family optics. No, Mr. Ashford. The Ashford Founders Trust is not private when its trustees attempt to alter beneficiary control through public coercion. Derek turned on me. You planned this. I looked at him calmly. You planned the banquet. You switched the file. Did I? Which access card opened the media console? Which account changed the cake trigger? Which USB did you ask the technician to launch manually? His mouth opened, then closed. Did I? Mara answered for me. The verification file was uploaded by Ellison Trust Services under the authority granted by the Founders Trust after repeated beneficiary interference reports. The cake trigger was linked to the trust verification lock because the family scheduled beneficiary recognition during this event. Father's face flushed. You had no right. I had the obligation. Mara said, your father wrote the fraud clause himself. The screen advanced. Fifth proof object. Security camera footage from the library at noon. No audio at first. Only image. Father pushing the cream folder toward me. Mother beside me. Derek by the bookshelf. Me reading. Me asking what would happen if I refused. Then the audio cut in. Derek's voice filled the pavilion. Then tonight we tell everyone the truth about how unstable you have been since the DNA mess. We tell them you threatened Sabrina. We show the clips. Mother closed her eyes. Father lowered his head. Derek went white. The clip continued. Father, do not mistake patience for weakness. You live in this house because we chose compassion. Me, I was born into this house because someone switched my hospital bracelet. Father, and Sabrina was raised here because we loved her. Me, I never asked you to stop. Silence followed that line inside the clip and outside it. The screen froze on the signature page, my signature visible. Beneath it, my small, neat words were enlarged for the room. Signed after direct threat of public defamation. Consent denied. Full document disputed. Someone at the board table said, "Good God." I did not look at my father. I watched Sabrina. She was no longer crying. That was when I knew she was truly afraid. Sabrina cried when tears helped, when they did not. Her face sharpened into something older than innocence. Lena, she said softly, away from the microphone, stop this. I am not touching the screen. Please. In my first life, please had been my word. Please believe me. Please let me stay. Please don't make me sign. Hearing it in her mouth felt like watching a thief try on a dress that finally did not fit. The screen advanced. Sixth proof object, West Pavilion rehearsal footage from that afternoon, Derek leaning over the technician. When the cake reaches center stage, cut the feed and launch the USB file. I do not care what lock is on the system. The technician, that would show in the event log. Derek, then edit the log. A low wave of disgust moved through the crowd. Board members stopped whispering and began typing. That was worse for my family. Whispers pass. Emails remain. Father stepped toward Mara. This presentation ends now. Mara did not move. The presentation ends when the verification file is complete. I am chairman of Ashford Holdings. And until 10 minutes ago, you were acting trustee of the Founders Trust. Those are different chairs, Mr. Ashford. Derek laughed harshly. This is absurd. Even if Lena is biological, Sabrina is still legally adopted. Sabrina flinched. He had said the word he was never supposed to say in public. Adopted, not chosen, not heart daughter, not family beyond blood, legal, secondary. A paper bridge built after the hospital scandal threatened to become a lawsuit. Mara opened the blue folder. Sabrina Vale Ashford's adoption standing is not under review tonight. Her conduct is... Sabrina's face changed. Mara continued. The trust does not punish her for being switched at birth. It does, however, disqualify any beneficiary, representative, or family member who knowingly participates in fraud, coercion, forged consent, or evidence manipulation against the primary beneficiary. The screen advanced one final time. Seventh proof object, Sabrina's text messages to Derek from that morning. She gave me the dress, easier than expected. Cake box delivered with my name. She took a photo, but did not react. If she signs before dinner, do we still need the tribute clips? Derek's reply, yes. Guests need to see why you are the safer face. Sabrina's reply, then make sure the worst clips play before cake. No one whispered this time. The guests recoiled. Sabrina looked at Derek with naked hatred. You said those messages were private. It was the wrong defense, beautifully wrong. Not forged, not misunderstood, private. The room understood grammar faster than law. Mother whispered, Sabrina. Father closed his eyes. There are moments when lies do not collapse with a scream. They simply run out of servants. Mara turned to the guests. For the record, this event includes trustees, board witnesses, donor representatives, and media contractors. The verification file, original DNA report, hospital bracelet scan, security camera recordings, screen access log, trust document, and disputed signature page have been archived with independent counsel. She looked at me. Miss Ashford, do you confirm that you did not voluntarily waive your trust rights? The microphone was still live. I stepped forward. Sabrina stood beside the cake with her name on it, wearing my dress, my diamonds, and the last soft light she would ever receive from my family without suspicion. My parents stood below the stage, exposed. Derek hovered near the technician, trapped by his own event log. 200 guests waited for me to cry, shout, forgive, or perform whatever would make this easier to digest. I did none of those things. I confirm, I said. I did not voluntarily waive anything. Mara nodded. Do you wish to recognize Sabrina Ashford as ceremonial heiress in your place? In my first life, they had forced yes from me with fear. This time, the word no felt almost gentle. No. Sabrina inhaled sharply. I turned toward her, but I recognized that she wanted the place badly enough to stand in it. The cake candles had not been lit yet. The staff member holding the silver lighter lowered it slowly, unsure whether birthdays could be canceled mid-breath. Mara closed the folder. Then, under Section 11 of the Ashford Founders Trust, she said, voice clear, the attempted waiver is void. Grant Ashford and Vivian Ashford are suspended as family trustees pending review. Derek Ashford is suspended from all trust board activity, pending investigation into evidence manipulation. Sabrina Vale Ashford is removed from ceremonial heir representation and barred from beneficiary advocacy roles for a minimum of 5 years. A sound moved through the pavilion. Shock, satisfaction, fear, the expensive kind. Father said, Mara, you cannot do this. Mara looked at him. I did not. You did. Part 6. The Trust Officer. Read the clause out loud. The birthday cake sat between Sabrina and me. Her name remained on the top tier, beautiful and useless. The candles waited unlit. The photographer lowered his camera but did not stop recording. He knew what every professional in that room knew. Sometimes the real event begins after the scheduled shot falls apart. Father climbed the stage without invitation. "Enough," he said. He reached for the microphone. I let him take it. Men like my father reveal more when they think sound belongs to them. "Our family has been subjected to a malicious ambush tonight," he said. "These materials are taken out of context. A birthday celebration is not the appropriate venue for legal accusations." Mara stood beside him, expression still. Father continued, warming to his own authority. "Yes, mistakes were made. Yes, emotions have been high. But this family has loved 2 daughters through an impossible situation. I will not allow outside parties to weaponize paperwork against that love." But tonight the screen was still behind him. Mara pressed a button on her tablet. The screen changed to the trust document. Ashford Founders Trust. Section 11. Beneficiary coercion, identity fraud, and trustee disqualification. Mara took the second microphone from the stand. "With respect, Mr. Ashford, your father anticipated this exact argument." Father turned on her. "Do not invoke my father. I am invoking his signed trust document." She read aloud. "If any acting trustee, family representative, or related party knowingly attempts to pressure, defame, isolate, misidentify, or materially disadvantage a primary beneficiary for the purpose of redirecting control, income, title, ceremonial standing, or voting authority, then all documents procured under such pressure are void. The acting trustee shall be suspended. The beneficiary shall receive independent counsel. The matter shall be reviewed before board witnesses when available." She paused. "Board witnesses are available." Every board member in the pavilion looked suddenly fascinated by their water glass. Derek snapped, "This is not a board meeting." Mara turned to him. "You made it one when you invited the board chair to witness a beneficiary declaration." Derek had no answer. He had arranged the audience for my surrender. That meant the audience qualified for his punishment. Mother rose unsteadily from the family table. "Mara, please. We were trying to protect Sabrina." There it was. Finally. Not protect both daughters. Not protect the truth. Protect Sabrina. I looked at my mother. She looked older than she had that morning. Exposure does that. It removes the flattering light people borrow from lies. "From what?" I asked. Mother turned to me. Tears trembled in her eyes. "From losing everything overnight." "So you gave her my birthday. You do not understand what it was like." Mother said, "She was our baby. We raised her. We watched her sleep. We held her when she was sick. Then one report came and told us we were supposed to rearrange our hearts." The room softened. I felt it, not fully, but enough. Mother's pain was real. That was the dangerous part. Real pain can still become cruelty when it demands the wrong payment. "I never asked you to stop loving her," I said. Mother's tears fell. "I asked you to stop punishing me for being born." No one moved. Sabrina made a broken sound. "Lena, I was scared too." I turned to her. "Were you scared when you ordered the cake with your name?" Her mouth opened. Were you scared when you wore the dress Mother ordered for me? You gave it to me because you came to collect it. Her cheeks flushed. Were you scared when you told Derek to play the worst clips before the cake? She looked toward the guests, calculating, still calculating, even now. I thought if people saw how angry you were, they would understand why everything had to be slow. She said, I thought it would protect us. Us? The family. You mean yourself? Her face hardened. You think blood makes you innocent? The sentence cut through the pavilion. No, I said, proof makes me believed. Innocence is separate. Derek laughed once, ugly and sharp. You sound like a lawyer, Mara said. She sounds like someone who read the document before signing it. Father tried a different route. Lena, come down from the stage. We will discuss this privately. In my first life, privately had been where truth went to starve. No. His eyes sharpened. Do not forget who gave you shelter. The law gave me identity. The trust gave me standing. You gave me a seat at table 12. The board chair coughed into his napkin. Father's face darkened. You ungrateful girl. Mara lifted her tablet slightly. Please continue. Mr. Ashford, the record is clear, but additional confirmation is always useful. He stopped. Mara turned to me. Miss Ashford, the trust requires you to select interim independent representation tonight. You may defer final control until council reviews the matter, but your family can no longer act on your behalf. I select you as interim trust officer, I said. Accepted. Derek stepped forward. You cannot just take the trust from the people who built it. Mara looked at him. Your grandfather built it. Your father managed it. You attempted to weaponize it. Distinctions matter. Derek's phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. Then Father's phone. Then the board chairs. One by one. Screens lit up around the pavilion. News traveled fast when donors smelled liability. The press outside had not been invited into the room. But staff talked, contractors texted, and guests loved discretion most when other people failed at it. Mother sat down as if her legs had finally understood the evening. Sabrina reached for the diamond clasp at her throat. For a moment, I thought she might take it off. Then her fingers closed over it possessively. This necklace was given to me, she said. I looked at Mother. She did not speak. Sabrina lifted her chin. You cannot strip me of everything. I do not want everything, I said. I want what is mine. And what am I supposed to be? That question, at last, was almost honest. In another life, the one we might have had if our parents had been braver, I could have answered softly, You are Sabrina. You are not less because I am real. You do not need my name to exist. But she had stood over my erasure with both hands open. She had taken the dress, the cake, the speech, the clips, the trust, the silence. So I answered the version of her that chose, Start with your own name. The diamond clasp trembled under her hand. Mara's associate approached Mother with a document. Mrs. Ashford, we need the necklace surrendered to trust custody. It is part of the beneficiary jewel schedule. Mother whispered. Not here. Mara said. Here is where it was displayed. For the first time all night, Sabrina looked truly young, not innocent, young. She turned to Mother, waiting for rescue. Mother stood, slowly. With hands that shook, she unclasped the diamonds from Sabrina's throat. Sabrina flinched as if struck. I felt nothing dramatic, no triumph, no swelling music inside my chest. Just a quiet click, like a door opening in a house where I had been locked out too long. The associate placed the necklace in a velvet evidence tray and sealed it. Father whispered my name, Lena. I looked at him. His pride was breaking, but not enough. He wanted mercy to arrive before accountability. That is what families like mine call healing. You can stop this from going further, he said. You have made your point. No, I said. You made it? Mara closed the trust document. The formal notices will be delivered tonight. Mr. Ashford. Mrs. Ashford. Your trustee access is frozen pending review. Mr. Derek Ashford. Your board credentials are suspended. Miss Sabrina Vale Ashford. You are prohibited from representing Ashford beneficiary interests or using trust property without written authorization. Derek stared at her. You are ruining us. Mara's voice did not change. You rented a screen. The guests understood then. Not all the legal details. Maybe not every clause, but enough. My family had built the stage, chosen the audience, arranged the humiliation, and handed the truth a microphone. The cake still waited. The staff member with the lighter looked at me. Miss Ashford, should I light the candles? A tiny laugh escaped someone at table 9, then another. The absurdity saved the room from choking on scandal. I looked at the cake. Sabrina's name curved beautifully across the top tier. No, I said, let it stay dark. Part 7. I left before they could sing her name. The cake remained untouched. Sabrina sat at the family table, no longer wearing the diamonds. The sapphire gown looked different without them. Still expensive, still beautiful, but no longer ordained. Fabric, not destiny. She stared at the icing name as if it had betrayed her. In a way, it had. She wanted proof of possession. She got an exhibit. Mother hovered near her, then near me, then near Father, unable to choose even in ruin. Father stood with 2 board members, speaking in a low, urgent voice. Derek was on the phone near the side exit, repeating. No comment. As if saying it enough could become strategy. Mara found me beside the west steps. You did well, she said. I did very little. That is why it worked. I looked back at the pavilion. In my first life, I fought every small insult. The dress, the cake, the seating chart, the speech. By the time the real trap came, everyone thought I was the storm. Mara did not ask what I meant by first life. Good lawyers know which miracles are outside billable scope. Tonight, she said, they supplied the weather report themselves. One of her associates handed me a folder. Inside were copies of the emergency suspension notices, the trust custody receipt for the diamond clasp, the lab chain of custody certification, and a temporary access card for the Ashford Founders Trust Office. My name appeared on every page. Helena June Ashford. For years, that name felt like a legal correction wearing shoes that did not fit. Lena was what I called myself. Helena was what the documents called the daughter stolen at birth. Tonight, the 2 names stopped fighting. You do not have to remain in the house, Mara said. The trust can arrange secure lodging. Already arranged? She almost smiled. Your grandfather believed in contingency plans. Thank you, I said. Thank the document, Mara replied. Behind us, Sabrina's voice rose. So that's it? She demanded. Everyone just leaves me here? I turned. She stood at the edge of the stage. Sapphire skirt gathered in one hand. Her makeup had finally begun to fail. Not dramatically, just enough to make her look like a person instead of a portrait. Mother reached for her, but Sabrina shook her off. You got what you wanted. Sabrina said to me, Are you happy now? In my first life, this would have pulled me back. I would have explained. I would have said I never wanted to hurt her. I would have promised she could still be my sister if she admitted the truth. I would have offered the same mercy I begged for and never received. This time, I answered only the question. I am free now. She flinched. Freedom is insulting to people who built cages and called them home. You think they'll love you after this? She asked. You think blood will make them choose you? I looked at my parents. Mother was crying silently. Father would not meet my eyes. Derek had turned away. No, they would not love me after this. Not properly, not cleanly, maybe not ever. The difference was that I no longer needed their love to return my name. No, I said. I think records will make them obey. Sabrina laughed bitterly. That is all you have? Records? Records, witnesses, trust control, a DNA report, a hospital bracelet, a signature page, camera footage, screen logs, and your texts? Her face tightened with each item. Concrete things are cruel to liars. They do not get tired. They do not feel guilty. They do not miss you. Father approached us then. He looked smaller without the room leaning toward him. Lena, he said, come home tonight. We should speak as a family before lawyers make this worse. Lawyers did not write Sabrina's name on the cake. His mouth closed. Mother came to stand beside him. She held a tissue in both hands, twisting it until it tore. I am sorry, she whispered. In my first life, I died wanting that sentence. I imagined it as warm, golden, enough to reverse everything. Hearing it now, I realized apology without cost is just another performance. For what? I asked. She looked startled. That was another lesson my first life had bought with blood. Never accept a general apology for a specific injury. For the cake, the dress, the edited clips, the table, the document, the years, be specific. Mother's tears fell harder. For not knowing how to love both of you. That was close. Closer than she had ever come. It was still not enough. You knew, I said. You did not know how to lose control. Derek appeared behind Father. His face was flushed from angry phone calls. This is insane. Do you know what happens if the board suspends me? The acquisition vote is next month. I know, I said. You scheduled my public waiver before it. His eyes flashed. You cannot prove that. Mara, from beside me, held up a tablet. Derek stopped talking. I almost pitied him. Almost. My brother had confused family loyalty with poor document hygiene. Derek, I said, in the first life, you told me no one would believe a girl crying behind the banquet hall. He stared at me, again. That strange fear crossed his face, like guilt hearing its future name. Tonight, I said, I did not cry behind the hall. Mara's car pulled around the side drive, black and quiet. An associate opened the rear door. Inside, I saw a small overnight bag on the seat. Mine, packed by Mrs. Rowe, probably. The old housekeeper had avoided my eyes all day, but she had left my passport, laptop, and grandmother's letters in the front pocket. Some people apologize in logistics. I walked toward the car. "Lena," Mother called. I stopped but did not turn. "Will you come back?" "For the legal inventory," I said. "Not for dinner." Mother made a sound like something breaking softly. Sabrina shouted, "You are cruel!" I turned then. The guests who remained watched from a careful distance. The cake waited under dead candles. The screen behind it still displayed the final trust notice. My name at the top. Sabrina's messages archived below. She stood in my sapphire gown, but without my inheritance, without my diamonds, without the audience she expected to own. "No," I said. "I am finished being useful." I got into the car. As the door closed, the pavilion lights reflected in the window, turning the scene into something distant and framed. Father stood rigid. Mother covered her mouth. Derek stared at Mara's tablet like he could hate the evidence into disappearing. Sabrina remained beside the cake with her name on it, queen of a birthday that was never hers. The car began to move. Outside the gates, reporters surged forward, but Mara's driver took the side road through the old cedar lane. Ashford Hall fell behind us, bright and loud and trapped inside its own glass. My phone vibrated again and again. Father, Mother, unknown numbers. A message from Derek that read, "You will regret this." A message from Sabrina that read, "We could have been sisters." I deleted Derek's message. I saved Sabrina's, not because it hurt, because one day, if she tried to sell the story of sisterhood again, I wanted the timestamp. Mara sat beside me, reviewing documents under the soft car light. "There will be pressure tomorrow," she said. "Family calls, media framing, settlement offers. They may ask for a private reconciliation." "No private rooms," I said. "Good." I looked down at the folder in my lap. DNA report, hospital bracelet, trust document, signature page, security footage index, screen access log, a life reduced to proof, then restored by it. In my first life, I thought proof would make them love me. That was the mistake. Proof does not create love. It only clears the fog so you can see who was standing there with a knife, who was standing there with a key, and who was never standing there at all. The car turned onto the main road. The sky beyond the city was dark, clean, and wide. For the first time in either life, my birthday belonged to me. They had written her name on my cake. I left them the crumbs.